everyone. We don't have a podcast yet. Folks, here in Louisville, we have a beautiful tradition of hosting 30 to 40 of America's most forgotten butt rock bands every year.
And usually one rap act. Though I think Snoop Dogg canceled this year.
I brought up the list to see who was on it, and right now in the background, if the mic is picking it up, you can hear a few blocks from my house, Metallica is closing out their 2-hour set.
Their second 2-hour set of the weekend.
Ooh,
They're sort
boy.
of like the artist in residence at Louder Than Life this year.
What do you think they're going to close with?
Oh, probably like something fresh and new. You know, let us hear what you've been working on, Metallica. What's been
Give
going
us
on
something off
behind
of
the
the Death
scenes?
Magnetic. Don't play Enter Sandman. We've all heard it. Give us the B-sides, the deep cuts. Give us the cover of Whiskey in the Jar.
Oh, yeah. And also, maybe they feel like covering something else, maybe a little something lighter. I mean, everybody's been rocking out really hard. It's the end of the day. Maybe...
Second encore, come out, play One-Eyed, One-Horned, Flying Purple People Eater.
Yeah, perfect.
Ooh, what I wouldn't give to hear. I mean, it doesn't even have to be good. Just if Metallica covered One-Eyed, One-Horned, Flying Purple People Eater, if they heard me say this and then they did it, I would never illegally download anything ever again. Just to thank them. Be like, fellas, I'm gonna go out and buy physical copies of your records.
On
Which
multiple,
one of them has
like,
One-Eyed,
forms of
One-Horned,
media.
Flying Purple People Eater on it?
Yeah.
You guys should start making movies, because I'll go to the theater for those too.
No, wait. Did they try that?
James Hetfield.
What was it? Was
Lars
their movie
Ulrich.
Enter the Never?
There was the documentary. I think there was some sort of a...
I think this was like a semi-musical where some kid was trying to get into a Metallica show, but lots of things went wrong in his journey across the city to go see his favorite band.
And then at the end of the movie, the twist is that he was going to see the Captain in Tennille.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't even Metallica.
So you did see it.
Love will keep us together.
Were they the ones that did Muskrat Love as well? Or was that Peaches and Herb?
I don't know. Muskrat Love. What a concept.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go down to the drive-in theater and see a double feature of the One-Eyed, One-Horned, Flying Purple People Eater, starring James Hetfield, and Muskrat Love by whoever that was that did that.
It's
don't know.
really not important. It wasn't a Muskrat band, so don't get excited.
Yeah. This wasn't like Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
No, not at all.
It was just a guy named Muskrat Love. Muskrat Love Hewitt. Muskrat Love Dogs. Starring James Hetfield. This isn't exactly a correction, but in the last episode we talked about the sitcom Men of a Certain Age.
Yeah.
And we talked about the cast, and I don't think that we got it completely right. Maybe you did, and I just kept thinking that other actors were in it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the show with Pacey where he's his dad's
Fringe?
like a crazy scientist? Fringe. You know that guy? He's like the director of the Secret Bureau of government snoopery.
What was it, Lance Reddick? I'm trying to remember.
L-
It's been a long time since I've watched any Fringe.
Who's Lance Reddick?
Also in The Wire.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the best guests ever on the Eric Andre show.
Now I'm sorry. I'm just looking at pictures of Lance Reddick here. And there's several here of him on the red carpet. It looks like Lance Reddick is married to a lady who works with your mom.
Yep. How did you know that she works with my mom?
Oh God, I've gotten so far off track from what I was wanting to talk about. And that is I'm just gonna send you the this is the Google search for the cast of Men of a Certain Age.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to scroll down to this cast member known as Isaiah Montgomery.
Okay, I'm there.
Now, this is a little strange to me. Men of a Certain Age was a 2009 comedy drama.
And yet Isaiah Thornton Montgomery, born in 1847, had passed away by 1924, many years before Men of a Certain Age was filmed.
Yeah, according to Isaiah Montgomery's Wikipedia page, he was born into slavery. Isaiah was the son of Ben Montgomery. I don't know how this guy was on the show, but if any of our listeners were production assistants on Men of a Certain Age, write into us and let us know, was this a different Isaiah Montgomery that just didn't have his own Wikipedia page? Was there an episode where they played a recording of this guy talking, and so he's listed on the cast?
And somehow is listed in front of Penelope Ann Miller.
He's a time traveler, maybe?
Shit, he's 10 names up above Robert Loggia. That's got to be a mistake.
This guy, he travels back in time and just inserts himself into the Google results for TV shows.
I mean, there are some names here that he is higher billed. Also, Flo from Progressive.
Mm-hmm. Just some interesting, something to think about. All right, do you have an idea for a podcast?
I sure do. This is called Grande Dejeuner.
All right.
Which is French. It's the French language for big lunch. Because there's late night talk shows and there's morning shows, but nobody that I know of has ever said like, here's your lunch show when you're, eating your turkey sandwich in your car in the parking lot during lunch hour. This is specifically a lower grade show. We're not going to put the sort of resources we would put into something that would be on during prime time or late night or in the morning hour, but just like a trashier, lower rent lunch show.
What kind of segments would we be doing?
Well,
I know that like a morning show or an evening show, you tend to have a celebrity guest interview, maybe a cooking segment.
there will definitely be a cooking segment, and it'll just be about how to jazz up your sandwich.
Mm-hmm. What are some ways to jazz up your sandwich?
giant pickle bread.
Okay. You had me at pickle. You lost me at bread.
The pickle replaces the bread.
Oh, pickle bread.
So it's still gonna be smaller than a normal sandwich. You probably have to make 2 or 3 of them. But you know, I think that any of your cold cuts are gonna go great on a pickle loaf. And
has
some
anyone
of
ever
your
tried
weeder
pickled
snacks.
bread?
Pickled bread?
Yeah, pickled bread.
I've never had it, but that doesn't mean it's not a thing.
I've gone to the internet here. There's pickle bread, which is just bread that tastes like pickles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Does pickled bread exist? This dill pickled bread has a crisp pickle flavor in every bite. No! Can you pickle bread? Pickled bread. Here we go. This is from discusscooking.com. Does anyone know if it's possible to pickle bread? It's the last thing standing in my way to an idea I have. I just can't think of a way to do it, and I'm not that familiar with pickling in the first place. Any advice would be much appreciated. And then there's one response from Selkie. Why would you want bread to be soggy and turn into mush while tasting like pickling juice? You might as well drink straight pickling juice.
Fair enough, Selkie. Maybe I do want to drink pickling juice. Maybe I do want a mushy sandwich, Selkie.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you mind your own business if you're not going to help?
McNerd writes, I am more curious about your, quote, idea if pickled bread is the last item you apparently need. BTW, if you Google pickled bread, don't be too surprised by the sexual aspect of that term.
I'm confused now.
The OP responded, I can't give away my idea yet. And about Google, ... Yeah, I tried that and got the same results. Gross.
I would like to know if OP knows about the mailing your idea to yourself, so then you can just blab it everywhere, but you have ironclad proof that you are the creator. I want to know what this pickle sandwich is. I know there are pickled meats. I know there are a lot of pickled veggies. I'm guessing that they're coming up with an all pickled sandwich. Pickled eggs.
Pickled eggs. Pickled bologna.
Mm-hmm.
I love pickled stuff.
Me too. I like how all of a sudden you can get pickled onions everywhere now.
That's one thing that the supply chain will never break.
They had a lot of pickled onions in the pipes, and they're still pumping them out.
A year from now, we're like, oh, I got to run down to Kroger pickled onions.
Got a really bad burn, and I ran out of pickled onions. I've been using them as a salve.
That's just all that Kroger has, and they're spinning it like a bold new move from Kroger, the store you've come to know and trust, now with a exciting new flavor.
Mm-hmm.
They're
just opening the bags of onions
shot
and
of the
pickling
inside.
them
It's
in the
just
back.
Pickled onions on every shelf. That's like a story you would hear about Soviet Russia when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And at the grocery store, it's nothing but beets. That's all they have, just beets.
I've got an idea for to make Kroger great again. Don't make me fill out the click list. Have a surprise me button. I'll give you an amount of money that I'm willing to spend and go and get some shit.
You're
it's like playing Chopped with my.
You just you can just do the I'm feeling lucky button.
Yeah.
Where you like MAR and it's like I'm feeling lucky. You're like, yeah, okay. Did you want marjoram? No, I needed margarine. Grande Dejeuner.
Yeah, and I didn't even touch on the French aspect. I figured that this could really take off because I think that most of America are such francophiles. We could probably talk about French cinema and
Mm-hmm.
the Beaujolais when it comes in. That'll be a good episode.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clowns that aren't funny. We could have a
No,
whole episode about that.
but they make you think about things that are funny that you wish you were watching instead.
But, Doctor, I am watching The Simpsons. All right, I have an idea for a podcast.
Okay.
This is based on a recent episode, maybe the last episode. We talked about the short-lived superhero television show, The Cape.
Oh, yeah.
This is a podcast called Cape Town.
One of the capitals of South Africa.
And also we would watch an episode of The Cape and talk about. This would be probably the only podcast dedicated to the show The Cape. That can't be true. I'm gonna have to look it up.
It will be the only podcast dedicated to the show The Cape that's in Afrikaans, though.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be doing a perfect South African accent. I'm just looking. No, it does not look like there is a podcast about the Cape yet.
Okay.
We could be the first.
And if it gets big enough, we could maybe get Chappie himself, Charlton Copley, to join us. He's not in the Cape. We could get the guy from the Cape too, but I'd rather have Chappie.
We have Chappie and the guy who played the Cape.
Yeah.
On the same episode. The guy who played the Cape is like, we got a bigger star to be on the show at the same time as him.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to do a little Googling because I don't remember who was in the Cape at all.
Well, the Cape, that's who.
Oh yeah, he's a masked man.
He's the man in the Cape.
Okay, there we go. Cape Cast.
That's the name. That's our rival podcast.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fuck those guys over at Cape Cast.
Well, in Cape Town, the only official podcast about the Cape. Fuck those clowns over at Cape Cast. You wouldn't know a Cape if it hit you, and it will when you run afoul of the Cape. Anybody good in that cast?
I don't know who this guy is. You've got Summer Glau from like Buffy and other Joss Whedon shows, and Keith David.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the Cape is played by David Lyons, which that name sounds somewhat familiar, but I'm not.
I think his dad owned a funeral home in my small town.
And also at the end of the list, a very old and frightening-looking Elliot Gould.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Isaiah Montgomery.
No.
Well, this is all the kind of stuff that we could get into, all this granular detail. I mean, we have 8 whole episodes to go over with a fine-tooth comb. What, did they leave us on a cliffhanger? What does the future hold for the Cape? Were there any Cape spin-offs?
No.
What about the novelization of the Cape?
Ooh.
They don't do those as much anymore.
Did they get any video games? That's something.
The Cape, the video game, yeah. It's just a reskin of Chex Quest.
But this is called Cape Town?
Cape Town, yes. Okay. Maybe, you know how it's real big right now, people who we're on like a popular sitcom like The Office to be like, well, I don't have any projects going on. I guess I'll host a podcast about old episodes of the show I was on. I think there are actually 2 competing Office podcasts with different cast members of The Office talking about episodes of The Office. Maybe we could just pretend to be Daniel Lyons
Oh.
and Keith David.
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. Unless you want to be Elliot Gould.
Who doesn't?
I mean, he was a
We'll
sex
just be like,
symbol in the 1970s.
just legally change our names to Elliot Gould and Keith David
Yeah.
so that we don't get sued when we're Elliot Gould and Keith David's podcast about the Cape. Is
Yeah.
Elliot Gould still alive?
I'm not if
I always get him and Anthony Bourdain confused. I actually
he is still
I wrote
alive.
I wrote a very heartfelt letter to David Schwimmer
Oh yeah.
when Anthony Bourdain passed away.
Yeah.
I thought it was his father, and I was
Mhm.
so sorry to hear about his untimely passing. So that's Cape Town. What else do you got?
Oh, I've got We Betcha. And this is going to be a podcast where we get a bookie on, and then we make real bets until we get into hot water with our co-host guest, the bookie, or not. Maybe he hates us and gives us lots of money because we're good at bets.
Listen. I don't understand gambling, and I won't pretend to understand gambling. It's a terrifying, terrifying experience for me every time I do it. Anything more than I bet you $8 that I can't eat all these pickled eggs is beyond my mental capacity.
I'm ready for a new addiction, baby, and I want to let it ride. Put it all on green.
I have a recurring nightmare where I wake up and I'm the mafia boss. I'm in charge of the mafia now. And they're like, boss, we got to cook these books. And I'm like, oh, I don't understand business, let alone gambling, illegal business. Oh, now the mafia's mad at me.
I'm a bad Don.
I'm locking myself in my mafia office and hyperventilating. Oh, the guys are so mad at me. I don't know how gambling works at all. They're talking about the parlay. What? It's terrifying.
Well, then, like, this podcast could also be educational. We'd get a nice bookie, like somebody who will really hold your hand through your first few bets. And he's not the sort of bookie who would take advantage of a drunk, degenerate gambler. Like a guy's really shitty at his job.
I'd be more concerned about him not taking advantage of a guy who comes to him and says, I don't understand how gambling works.
I am scared to gamble. Help me fix myself.
Mr. Boogie, will you teach me to gamble? I do think that's a good idea for a podcast, though. I would love to have someone explain gambling to me.
We could also we could make it low stakes, and it doesn't have to be like a real bookie, but I like the idea of a podcast where we make several bets that have small financial a little bit of money riding on them, and then the next week we'd see who won and who lost.
Yeah.
And maybe it could be like a zero-sum game where we're betting just against like to each other. One of us takes one side and the other takes the other.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could all be a spinning wheel. Spin the big wheel.
That's my kind of gambling. Just throwing darts at a board.
Yeah, cakewalk.
While my older brother holds my hand against the dartboard.
Stop darting yourself.
Please. I haven't started darting myself yet.
Teach me how to dart myself. I don't know how to do it.
I have another idea.
Okay.
This is called... I got a theme this week. This one's called McGee and We.
Okay.
And this would be on another earlier podcast. We talked about a Christian TV show called McGee and Me that existed back in the 90s about a boy and his cartoon friend McGee. And they learn lessons about life from the Bible, but in a fun and cool way. And this would be a podcast where we watch an episode of McGee and Me, and we get a celebrity cast member from the show to come on and talk about their... If we could get that kid, the kid that gets bullied and everything, you know, looks like a 6-foot turkey to me, and then Dr. Grant runs the raptor's claw across his belly. That kid. He's also in McGee and Me, and he gets bullied as shit in that too. Take it to the Google. Let's find out if that guy has been in anything else. He was on an episode of Full House. He was a kid called Duck Lips that got bullied.
I think it's Joseph Mazzello.
Sure, that sounds right. What's he doing now? Do you think he'd come on our podcast about McGee and Me?
Well, wait, I might have it wrong. I'm not seeing McGee and Me on here. But he is the kid from Jurassic Park and Star Kid.
Star Kid?
You don't remember Star Kid?
No. He's one of the two main kids. He's the little boy who won't stop talking about dinosaurs to Dr. Grant.
Like one of the two main children?
Yeah, that's not who I'm talking about. The little kid that gets bullied at the very beginning of the movie by Dr. Grant.
Okay. I
the kid who says,
the
looks like a
IMDb
6-foot
page
turkey
of
to
Star
me.
Kid. Okay, go.
Yeah.
All right.
Whit Hertford. There he is. He was also in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child.
Where one would assume he's being bullied by Freddy Krueger.
Oh, he did monster voice effects in Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls. He dances in Pharrell Williams' Happy music video. He's also in some sort of a long-form Imagine Dragons music video. He does several voices on Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh, I just found this guy's page, and yeah, I very much recognize this guy. This guy's in McGee and Me.
Eagleheart. He's in what? Looks like he does a lot of cartoon voices. Might be harder to get than I thought. He was Billy the Seal Boy on Batman the Animated Series. He was a voice on Tiny Toon Adventures. Oh, and here's McGee and Me. He was in an episode of Capital Critters. Oh, fuck me. You gotta be kidding me. He was in Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, he was.
And Tailspin. And Empty Nest. He was in Pro Stars.
He was in the
Pro
Munsters
Stars.
Today, playing young grandpa.
He was in Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
Beaches. Cagney and Lacey.
A rap music video.
Man. Oh, he's got producer credits. Anyways, we could get that guy. Be like, what was it like being on McGee and Me? Did they try and make you become a Christian? He'd be like, no, they're all really nice. We're like, cool.
I could have
Well,
all
that's our
the
show.
Kool-Aid that I could drink.
All right, let's go to the Podtron.
Okay.
Folks, if you're not familiar, the Podtron 4500 is a artificial intelligence that we feed the top 1,000 podcasts according to the charts, and then it kind of mixes it up and gives it back to us as a cake batter, and then we have to bake that into a beautiful podcast cake. And here's our first big dollop of cake batter. It's a podcast called Heavyweight History. You've heard of hardcore history.
Mm-hmm.
This is heavyweight history.
Now, do you think that this is going to be a podcast where we just do the general history of great big fat people?
That's one option. Another would be we watch the movie Heavyweights,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just have somebody on who was on the movie Heavyweights.
Or someone who is the self-appointed heavyweight historian of that movie.
Oh. I was going to say this
fan.
This is one where we might be able to get a cast member because that one guy got himself real messed up on meth. So he's probably available.
Which guy?
He was in the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, the main guy?
He's one of the main guys in Heavyweights. Not the main guy. The main
Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks?
Goldberg, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not fat anymore, but it's because of drugs. But he's losing his mind, and we're reaping the rewards.
Yeah. One possibly negative effect of the drugs. I mean, mostly I'm sure there were good effects. Great weight loss technique that the fat camp and heavyweights couldn't deliver that kind of results.
Yeah,
but also remembering stuff, like being able to remember being in heavyweights, especially if he was on meth in 1994.
I think it's clear that was pre-meth.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that maybe the thing about it being a history podcast about fat people, that could be good. Probably better.
Could be good. I'm a little bit worried. Like, we'll have to be a little more body positive. There are a lot of large personages throughout history that you could definitely have a great heavyweights of history. Your Henry VIII,
William Howard Taft. We'll have to change some of the names, to make it more appropriate. Big, beautiful Arbuckle. Plus size checker. Jake and the Man.
Jake and the man-sized man.
Skinny Jake and the Man.
No, wait, now we're being mean to Jake.
Yeah, just
I don't want him to
Jake
feel
and
less
the Man.
than.
That's we'll call it the Man and the Man. All right, and then you have to figure out which one is which.
Maybe we can call it 2.5 Men.
And then they have like a little. They have Hervé Villachez is also on the cast.
Oh, I just meant that the fat man is the size of 1.5 Men.
Yeah, I guess that at that point we would just have a show called Three Men.
And a little Hervé Villachez.
You know, the name Jake and the Fat Man is burned into my mind. But I couldn't tell you anything about the show Jake and the Fat Man.
I think it's
I only
just
know
a
that it
standard
was
like police detective show.
Yeah, it was just the name would come on. I was probably watching like the A-Team as a little kid, and they'd be like, "Next up on Jake and the Fat Man," and I didn't even watch what was next up on Jake. Like every time that name, they would say Jake and the Fat Man on TV. I would go like Showtime at the Apollo crazy and run around the house laughing my head off.
All I remember about it was when they started putting every single television show on DVD, seeing that one, and being like, these aren't even real shows. Like,
all right, do you have something off of this list that you like?
yeah, I do. This one is called Your Tiny Brain.
Your Tiny Brain?
Yes, Your Tiny Brain.
And this would be about my tiny brain?
It would be about, like, all of our tiny brain. You know, it would probably be like a science podcast where instead of trying to make you feel like science gives you power and the more you know about how things work, the better. Like it's going to make you feel small and put you in your place.
Yeah. This would definitely be, we could get money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as a generous donation from the Cato Institute.
Mm-hmm.
This is like NPR. It wouldn't run on NPR, but it'd be funded by NPR.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it could also be a show about how, like, yeah, your brain's kind of a supercomputer, but supercomputers are better than your brain. But what happens when our listeners start dying and willing their brains to us, and we can hook all these little tiny brains that are kind of supercomputers up in a network of tiny brain supercomputers, and then we have the brain pewter.
What happens when you stop being alive and start getting real? And then it's a reality show about all of our brains stuck together in this big jar that's running a supercomputer.
Yeah, think about like when you buy a bag of lemon drops and they're all just stuck together, but then instead of them being lemon drops, they're brains.
When your grandfather would give you 2 nickels and you'd go down to the confectioner's shop and get a big bag of lemon drops.
Keep them coming, Randolph. I got a lemon drop money for days.
I'm not. Listen. Only give me 5 cents worth of lemon drops. I'm gonna spend the other 5 down at the apothecary shop on a malted soda and a sassafras root.
One of these days, I tell you, I'm gonna make a brain pewter. I'll say, yeah, kid.
And then that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And that little boy's name was Paul Harvey. And now you know the rest of the story. Your tiny brain.
Mm-hmm.
This could also be like a roast battle show, but it has to be about how the other person's brain is tiny.
Your brain is so small that when you blow your nose, you got to shove it back up in there.
Your brain is so small that it went to see a Japanese monster movie called Howard Stern's Penis.
Who do you think would win in a fight between Baba Booey and Howard Stern's penis? I know Tokyo is toast, but
What about a horror movie where there's like a killer on the loose, a la Scream,
mm-hmm.
but the real menace of the movie isn't the antagonist of the movie isn't the killer. It's that it's Howard Stern fans who keep flooding the tip line for the Crime Stoppers. The killer, he's right there. We can see him, but we can't get through because people keep calling and saying Baba
The
Booey.
call is coming from inside of Howard Stern's penis.
Why, oh why did the slasher have to come to French Lick? All right, I got another one on this list.
Okay.
This is called the title of this podcast is I'm sorry, I was just thinking of something funny from earlier. The title of this podcast is Gazillions of Talking Bugs. This is an all-timer for the Podtron. I am blown away by this podcast titled Gazillions of Talking Bugs. And it's exactly what it sounds like.
Now, in old movies, they used to brag about like how many characters they had in the movie. They would say, in a cast of thousands. Now, I've never heard a cast
of stars.
of gazillions.
Well, here's the good part, is that it's not people. These are non-union bugs.
Okay. So yeah, you know, like some of these stunts are going to be real, and there's going to be some goose shed.
Yeah, there's not even going to be brains to donate to the supercomputer.
No. Though then again, that might be the easiest way to get our hands on tiny brains.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have brains though, they have a very, very rudimentary nervous system, I believe.
Yes.
I think that their brains might be in their butts. Butt brain bugs.
We put all these bug brains into a jar to make a supercomputer, and the computer is just like a giant light bulb.
and then you shake the jar, shit. And all the brains start fighting each other.
the giant bug brain computer just gets on the futures market. Sugar. crashes the market.
But then again, we'll also know how to make royal jelly for ourselves.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
What if we did that? Just a show where we try and deciphering royal jelly. It's like a History Channel show, but like one of those ones where they started to fall off, where it was like about the Da Vinci Code or something, where they were like, what if we did stuff that wasn't about Hitler for dads? We get the Masked Magician to host it, because
That would be.
what's he doing? That's a huge get.
How do we know it's really him if he's not doing magic tricks, though? Couldn't it be anybody in that costume?
That's the beauty of it. It's gazillions of non-union bugs. They're all talking, but all of them have their own ideas about what they should be saying. It's like a California gubernatorial recall collection. Just gazillions of talking bugs, all filling up the Masked Magician's tuxedo.
I'd imagine that the tricks that he could ruin would be greater if he were made by a gazillion bugs. You know, he could do tricks that no human magician could fathom, even.
But then he'd just be revealing his own tricks that no one else could do. That could still be entertaining.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But there'd be like some of those bugs. He'd be like doing like this amazing, with the rings that join together and then unjoin. But then you could just faintly hear like, Google Ron Paul, drinking your own urine is good for you. Colloidal silver. Ipecac cures COVID. Just some crank bugs in there who won't shut up.
They're all gonna get their say. It's gonna be, if we do that one, it'll be a really long podcast because every single bug is gonna get their little timeout time, like they're on the real world, and they'll get a little camera there, and they'll get to say their piece, like what they're feeling, how they felt when one of the other gazillion bugs stole their peanut butter, or
It's just Twitter is what we're describing now.
Yeah.
Every time that a bug says their thing, then like 60% of all the bugs just respond with a animated GIF of a K-pop band.
Do you think that bugs like K-pop? I thought they would have their own like genres, like the buggy boogie or
The jitterbug.
third wave scant.
Fly girls.
The band Wasp, big hit.
The Beatles, but EE.
Yeah.
Gazillions of talking bugs. Now, I was thinking that we could just record this like where it would be just overdubs over and over of different bugs' voices. But then I realized that the gazillions part would make that incredibly difficult to do.
Well, I think a gazillion is a made-up number, so we could be like, yeah, gazillions. One more than a baker's dozen.
Gazillion has 2,000 or 28,819 to the third power zeros.
It's a real number? Too bad it wasn't a bazillion talking bugs then, I guess.
All right, give me your other one. What do you got?
All right, this one is Odd Banner Podcast. So it would be a show where we seek out the strangest signs and banners about town, and then try to do them justice in an audio only format.
I like this. This could also be about Dr. David Banner,
Mm-hmm. It could
the
be.
Incredible Hulk.
I saw a sign earlier this week that was it was saying that they had really good prices. This was a mechanic shop, and they said $49.95 oil chance. And so it's one of those ones where it's like you want to save a few bucks, you got to roll the dice. You may be a winner yet.
This is oils of chance,
Mm-hmm.
not oils of skill.
No.
This
No,
oil has to
I
be
think you
overseen by the
gotta
gaming commission.
jump into the big oil bucket, and you're looking for some sort of jewel that they keep at the bottom. That
It's like the telephone booth full of money,
mm-hmm.
but instead you just get in the booth and then they just spray you with oil.
And see if
And you have to try and hold. You have to try and hold as much of it as you can, and then when you get out, you can pour it into a funnel, and that's how much oil you get in your car.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it, I would suggest wearing a lot of layers.
Just walk in with like a big stack of like chamois. They're like, "Oh no.
I'm gonna wear my classic sponge suit.
Just real absorbent clothes." Old Banner podcast. Oh, Odd Banner podcast. I'm sorry. This
Also,
is actually
it's always cool when planes fly across the sky and they have the long banner there. Like if we can get any of those in the next week, if anybody's proposing marriage or trumpeting how low their oil change prices are.
I would like to. I mean, obviously, this is going to be a podcast with some serious lasting power. We're going to be doing a lot of episodes, gazillions of episodes.
Yeah.
So, but the idea that is most exciting to me is the episode where we focus on barbecue place banners. I love the banners that they put up outside of barbecue places. So much so that my banner image on Twitter is of a barbecue place called Hog Wild and Pig Crazy Barbecue, and then there's a cartoon picture of a pig with sunglasses playing a piano.
Okay.
I think that's the thing that's part of what I love the most about barbecue place signs is that they always have a pig doing something.
But it is pig that you're served.
Eating the he's like, come on in, I'm the old blind jazz pig.
Yeah.
Come eat of my flesh.
My tiny brain doesn't comprehend the fact that I'm eating my brother, and he's delicious.
I was gonna say there is a barbecue place.
Hoof smacking good.
There is a barbecue place here locally that is buying signage on the sides of buses. Have you seen that? And it's like a crude cartoon drawing of a pig in a apron and chef's hat standing at a smoker. Like
with his dick hanging out.
These are my brothers. Like he's just this traitorous pig who's selling out all of his friends.
Maybe they should do like right? There should be a good pig to go with the evil pigs that want to cook all the other pigs. Like maybe there's one pig who's trying to help all the other pigs escape from the barbecue restaurant, but then there's the bad guy pig who's like, oh, they're playing right into my clutches.
All right, here's what we got this week. We have Grande Dejeuner, Cape Town, We Betcha, McGee and We, Heavyweight History, Your Tiny Brain, Gazillions of Talking Bugs, and Odd Banner Podcast.
I would like to propose a combination platter. I'd like to
I'm listening.
We Betcha
Mm-hmm.
and McGee and We.
So we're gambling and watching McGee and Me.
You would be the bookie in this scenario, as I've never seen any McGee and Me, and I'd like to play the devil's game while I watch God's programming.
Okay.
So it'll be set up sort of like I will be viewing McGee and Me on my television set. Like I'll torrent the shit out of that. I'm not paying any money for that. And
It's all on YouTube, I believe.
Oh shit! Well, that's even easier. I'll watch it on YouTube, and while watching, make wagers on what will happen next, and we'll maybe learn a little bit about different gambling techniques. Like we'll do some parlays and some would you have it. I'll do a little research.
Well, folks, there you have it. What are we going to call this?
McGee and We Betcha.
McGee and We Betcha. There it is. That was easy.
It's easy,
folks. Yeah. If you want to hear McGee and We Betcha, you can head over to patreon.com/we don't have a podcast yet. Over there is where we keep the vault. If you're a subscriber to the Patreon, you will get a bonus episode every Friday. That is our attempt at doing our idea for a podcast from the previous episode on Monday. There's over 100 hours of bingeable content over there. $5 a month, you'll get every week a new episode, as well as all the old episodes. Go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Give us a 5-star rating. And tell your friends. That's it. I'm Nathan P. Woodard.
I'm Andrew James Estes.
Good night.